The Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
What a pass. Giddy underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Udart. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested Podcast. Coming to you live Sunday, May 21st. We are a month and 1 day away from the NBA draft. It's exciting. It's our second pod since the draft lottery, which is also exciting. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen. Got Justin Peabody with me tonight.
Hello, everybody.
Got Tayler Peterson.
What's up?
We've got Nick Crane.
Jacob, you stole my intro. I was going to say we're a month from Lotto Eve.
You mean from draft?
From
Draft Eve. Draft Eve, yes.
See, you should be lucky I stole it from you so you didn't screw it up. And then we've got Kamiar Moravian.
I am watching the Heat just beat the hell out of the Celtics, and well, I mean, apparently there was 60,000 tons of explosive chemical ammonium nitrate stolen, and that's kind of significant. So,
if
is
that Walter White's music?
It might be. Who knows? You know, I just saw it on the news. So that's
real life
that's
Breaking
fun.
Bad.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's all good.
Maybe the
Mildly
Heat blow
worrisome.
out and that train heist are related. Who knows?
You know,
There you
it's true. It's possible. I think it's possible.
What's a bigger explosion, the nitrate or this
Or the Heat.
the heat in the postseason?
Bad.
Jimmy Buckets.
No, not allowed to do that one.
Bad.
Gosh.
Okay.
Stroke.
Taylor and I were the only ones on the post draft. Or God, now Nick's got me messing
I
up.
got you all messed
Dang it,
up.
Nick. The post lottery podcast. Any of you other three? Just any quick feelings, takeaways from the lottery?
Not particularly.
As expected.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was the most straightforward lottery probably since the flattening of the odds, where it was just like these three teams jumped, these teams slid down, and that's all it was.
It was definitely a tankathon spin that you respin because you didn't like the results.
It's like, oh, that's boring. Let's do it again.
Exactly.
I do think, not that Wemby would fail anywhere, but probably the best spot for him. Like, as a basketball fan with a generational talent coming in, it's fun. Like the storyline of the French Connection and San Antonio's history and playing under Pop, like you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
I
I'm
thought Pop
so
was going to
glad-
retire, and now that man
Yeah.
said, "Oops,
Yeah.
psych."
Why wouldn't he? I mean, I'm just glad he went to a small market, because that means more TV sets are going to be on small markets, like OKC, Memphis, if Ja can keep his crap straight, and San Antonio for the next however many years, because Victor Wembanyama makes them very good, especially with some of the pieces they have.
I'm
Hey,
also
Kev-
delighted the Rockets got fifth.
Oh, very
What-
nice.
That was the win of the
Lord.
draft.
Who cares?
And they could blow it up even more if James Harden goes. So, you know,
Incredible.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think the Spurs are a great fit for Wemby. Kevin O'Connor told me that he's going to play with two of the best wings in the entire NBA. So,
Come
yeah,
in. It's always fun to see the post reactions of things and the inflated adjectives for players. Just
Yeah,
to like
apparently
make the
Keldon
storyline.
Johnson is one of the best wings in the NBA. I
Him and Devin
was
Vassell.
unaware. He's a good player. Don't get me
Yes,
wrong.
yeah.
He's a very good player. I'm not sure if best wing in the NBA is what I
much.
immediately go to when I think of Keldon Johnson.
Bit much.
Agreed.
So Spurs won. The Rockets falling is just like icing on the cake, right? They get pick number 4, which is where everyone says like the draft really begins. There's a top 3, and then there's everybody else. Yeah, kind of a boring lottery. Like Nick said, everything stayed chalk. Nobody jumped. Pistons fans won 17 games all season to get pick
Golly.
5.
Dude.
It's rough.
Makes you think, like, is tanking I mean, this was like the year of the tank for Wemby, but like, is it really worth it to fully bottom out?
Yeah.
Nick has kind of come full circle. Look at him. Beginning of this year, Nick was full team tank. Now we're getting the is tanking worth it argument. I love it. Nick was actually in Chicago. Were you in the room when the lottery happened, Nick?
I was not in the drawing room.
Yes. But were you in like the
Yes.
show? So
Yes.
just tell us a little bit about your experience up in Chicago, what that night was like, what watching all these prospects was like. Anything jump out at you?
The first thing that jumped out was I went through the metal detectors and got into the event, and Malika was doing like a dry run of like the show itself. And for the dry run, they did I don't know if it was a random spin or they just picked random teams, but you walk in and the big board says Oklahoma City #2 pick. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Dude,
what's going on here? I was like, have they done the drawing? Am I walking into something I shouldn't be walking into?
you
But it was
totally
just-
should have tweeted that picture. You would have went
I
viral.
agree. Viral in a bad way, and probably viral on Reddit, not any of the social media platforms that I actually care about going viral on. But like the layout itself, like you walk in, the ESPN sets to the right. There's a bunch of chairs to the left. They've got the kind of platform or stage where everyone was sitting for the actual drawing. There's a lot more people there than I expected. Like it wasn't an event you could buy tickets to, but like the eye-opening thing about Chicago in general is the amount of people involved in the pre-draft process, from like the agents and trainers and players and other representation, and like it was a lot of freaking people. Cool event. Would I do it again? Like, sure, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to do it again. It was like the Wemby drawing, so it felt like a good event to go out to. But watching it on TV would have been fine. It was cool to be in person. And when the Spurs won, their rep like smashed his fist on the table and like got up and raised his hands up and was screaming. So real emotion, and it was super cool to be there.
That's awesome. Besides that, seeing combine stuff, watching guys work out, all that. Anything stick out?
I think the thing that probably sticks out the most is like all these guys are really, really, really good. Like it makes you realize how much of an eye these like real NBA scouts have to differentiate like who's who, because to somebody that's like way more amateur, everybody like in a vacuum, like if you're going to go watch any of those players without having a comparison to anybody else, like the worst workout, the worst combine participant, you'd go to that workout, sit there, and you'd be like, man, this dude is going to be a superstar. Like he's windmill dunking and making 60% of his threes. And a lot of these workouts are very, especially like the agency ones, are very pre-scripted. Like the guys doing the drills with them, they're doing it to show their strengths. And these guys have done it before. I was talking to somebody that said all of the combine drills, like the cone shuttles and all that stuff, like these guys practice this. It's like, how much stock do you really take in that when these guys are practicing these drills and all that kind of stuff? And how much does that actually translate to you being an NBA player? I think the measurables are real, like your wingspan's your wingspan. But I think a lot of it's more just getting exposure and enjoying the process. Some of these guys are never going to pan out in the NBA. So it's cool to see them do this. They'll never forget this moment regardless, but makes you realize it's really hard to evaluate talent. Very, very, very hard. So kudos to Sam and staff for doing what they do.
I feel like maybe, and you guys, probably everyone in this room besides me could speak more to this. I feel like the NFL Combine, there's more tests that impact draft position. I've never seen an NBA person be like, oh my God, did you see what he did on the 3-cone? Whoo! You know,
Right,
like no
right.
wingspan, height,
Did you see his
standing
40
reach.
time?
Like, yeah, in the NFL, you got like 40 time, you got like bench press reps, you've got the vertical, like all that stuff is important.
Yeah.
Most of the testing stuff at the combine, I feel like, is kind of a waste of time. Although I am excited for next year when everybody has to test. That way we get measurables on everybody.
Yeah,
True.
100%.
Any measurables, speaking of, Nick, like height, wingspan, etc., surprise you?
Thompson twins, the wingspan, 7
The
foot
fact that it's
wingspan.
identical. Everything
And
was
it's
identical.
Imagine that.
Crazy.
There's something about identical twins. But a 7 foot wingspan is crazy for them. But at the same time, it's funny because everybody's like, holy cow, these Thompson twins are 6'5" without shoes with a 7 foot wingspan. And then you're like, but wait, Jalen Williams is 6'5" without shoes with a 7'2" wingspan. Doesn't have the athleticism, obviously.
Greek
But
arms.
Leonard Miller, you guys have probably talked about it on pods over the past week, measured out very, very well. Dude is huge.
He's a large man.
I don't know. It's always hard with shoes too, because it's almost underwhelming. Like all these guys that are like these 6'8" wings without shoes, they're like 6'6" and a quarter, and you're like, that doesn't sound very big. Zach
Do they measure
is like
without shoes because different shoes would give you, like, so one guy's wearing Adidas versus one guy's wearing Nikes or whatever.
And there's these, like, there's inserts these days, like, that'll give you an extra half inch or an inch if you put them in. Like, there's just too many.
Will try and boost
There's too many things
stats,
that can like sway it. I would almost rather them do shoe measurements, but everybody has to wear the same shoes for those measurements. Like, you don't have to work out in these shoes, but when we do these things, everyone's going to wear these shoes or something, because without shoes, it's just weird.
I agree. Nobody hoops without shoes unless you're a weirdo.
Yeah, like why do I care how tall this guy is without shoes? In a sport, he's always going to be wearing shoes.
True.
Very good point. Very good point. All right. Well, I'm going to relinquish control of the podcast to Nicholas Crane, which is a terrifying statement that I never thought I would say.
Buckle up.
Let's do it, Nick. I have no clue what you have planned. I called Nick today and I said, hey, what do you got planned so we can put together an outline? And he said, don't worry about it. I got it.
Maybe Nick's the one that took the 60,000 tons of that ammonia. He's not doing anything.
We're doing a scavenger hunt to find the ammonia.
FBI's tuning in on the
the little live viewer thing.
Oh, can't say blow it up after I said all that.
The live viewer count just ticked up 1 NSA in the chat.
Jeez,
right down the street in the van.
Anyways, we can move into what I want you guys to dive into tonight. I'll go ahead and share on the stream. See if this works.
Remember, you got to talk too, because some people aren't watching the stream and listening to
sharing
the
is caring.
Point. I have to illustrate. So we're gonna do a blind resume evaluation. These are I'm gonna give you guys guards, wings, and forwards. 4 players at each of those categories. You're not going to have names. You're not really going to have like their full stat line, because it could give it away. And I know you guys are quick Googlers. I don't want you guys to like, the point of the game is not to like guess who this player is and pick based on that. Like, I want this to be a blind evaluation. Admittedly, some of these are skewed, like with any data. You can give some really good points about a player, some really bad points about a player. I tried making it like kind of neutral, where there's pros and cons both ways. But I'm going to give you guys 4 players in each of those categories. So the first round is 4 guards, for example. You're going to see the blind resumes for the 4 guards. You're going to pick your favorite guard. We're going to move on to wings, move on to forwards. Once we have 1 player from each of those categories, you're going to pretend you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. Those 3 guys are on the board at number 12. And you're going to draft that player.
And we don't know the name till after we've made the draft selection?
Correct. We'll go afterwards. I'll reveal the names and all that kind of stuff. Some may be obvious. I tried, like, some of these guys, I tried so hard to make it not obvious, but it is what it is. And admittedly, there could be small errors, mistakes. I did not go through and like really proofread this.
My man said, I didn't proofread, but hey, here it is.
It's here. So
I love it.
That said, we're going to start with guards.
I think this is the podcast's first PowerPoint presentation.
I'll try to illustrate for the listeners.
Sample, as I can see in the bottom right-hand corner.
Sample, yes, sample. Has the right date though. We're halfway professional. All right. Guard number 1, and they're all going to have the same kind of sections. We can bounce back and forth because it's going to be hard to remember.
I got to make my window bigger. I can't read this at all.
Well, Nick's going to read it to us, right?
I'm going to read it. So podcast listeners get the gist too. Guard number 1, standard height, strong build, played on a top school in a Power 5 and made all conference. Elite high school recruit. His father has professional experience. Still a teenager. Okay. That's his biometric background.
Are we allowed to ask questions after you read us everything?
Yes, that was the other thing. I get to pick and choose what questions I will answer, though. You can't ask. You can't say, "Did he play at this school?" Because that'll give it away.
Nick sounds like Kamiar and I in the classroom right now.
Am I getting warmer?
I'm the teacher.
Abraham Lincoln.
Whether or not I answer the question may or may not depend on how quickly I can Google it too. I don't have all of the answers on top of my head. What was this guy's effective field goal percentage? I don't know. Let me Google it.
When shooting at 10 to 20 feet from the rim.
Can you say that in Latin? What's his name of origination? Was it? Is that what
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
Yeah.
Like a spelling bee. Okay. So guard 1, strengths and weaknesses. He's a crafty 3-level scorer, averaged over 15 points per game as a freshman. He is an offensive engine, a great positional rebounder. He shot less than 35% from deep last season, but he definitely has upside because there's our first spelling error, unguarded without a U. He shot 46.2% on unguarded catch and shoot threes. So 3-point shot wasn't elite, but it's there. Has a translatable skill of getting to the line. He got 6.4 free throw attempts per 40. Not the greatest defender today. And he's below average in transition at 0.82 points per possession. Each of these players will also have a quote from a scout. This scout says, guard 1 could easily be a 20-point per game scorer one day and has sneaky passing upside. But he's the type of prospect that needs the ball in his hands to make the highest impact.
So it's Trey Mann.
Well, Trey Mann's not in the 2023 draft, but yeah, similar style.
Interesting. Can we ask questions now?
Yes.
Okay. Are you allowed to tell us, is he he played in college. Was he freshman, sophomore, upperclassman?
He was a freshman.
Okay. I guess
he's a teenager.
Yeah, I was about to say the teenager thing probably should have given it away.
You just blew one of your questions away with an easy.
Do we have a limited number of questions?
I'll give you
pull up my
it's at my discretion, but I'll give you one more for this one. We can ask questions once you see all 4 guards too.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else here before we move to guard 2?
What's his free throw percentage? Do we know that? It says he gets to the line a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what he shoots when he gets there.
Great question. So guard 1, when getting to the line, shoots right about 80%.
Okay.
That's a good number.
Solid
number.
Can be a good indicator for 3-point success.
Yeah.
Well, if we are in the Thunder war room and somebody just throws this file down on the table and we read it, my first worry is not good in transition, not a great defender, and needs the ball in his hands to be as effective as he can be. That
needs the ball. Yeah.
That all 3 of those things scream not a fit for us.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Let's move on to guard number 2. All right. Guard number 2, very similar in terms of biometrics. Standard height for an NBA guard, although this guy is a slender build versus a strong build. He did play also in a Power 5 school and made all conference. Top 50 high school recruit, so not the same kind of elite tier recruit coming out of high school, but a fairly decent recruit, is also still a teenager. Okay. This guy is a 2-year college player. So Jacob, don't ask me what class he is because I just gave it to you. But although he is a sophomore coming into the draft, he enrolled in school at age 17. So he kind of has this unique blend of he's been around the college game for 2 years, but he's still pretty young relative to experience. Really good vision, one of the better rebounding guards in his conference, ranks very highly in most advanced statistics. So if you're an analytics guy, probably pretty high on your board. Elite in transition, so 1.23 points per possession last season. Finishes very well around the rim. Has flashed some defensive upside this year. I wouldn't call him a great defender, but he has shown moments where you could see this guy being a good defender at the next level, or at least adequate. But he does need to get stronger. Like that's going to be his thing moving forward. Can he get stronger? And the scout for guard number 2 said he is a late bloomer, making huge strides year over year at the college level. I'll be curious to see if the 3-point shot is real after seeing a huge bump in efficiency last season after shooting sub 35% as a freshman.
So what did he shoot as a sophomore?
All right, it's a good
That
question.
elicited that response.
It's a good question. Let's see.
And on how many attempts?
Okay, we can answer that one too. I'll give you some extra context on this one too, since you asked. Okay, so freshman year,
Guards
sub
throwing off on this
35 was this scout must really like this guy because he said he was sub 35 as a freshman. Sub 35 could mean a lot of things. He was 22.2% from 3 as a freshman.
Okay.
Maybe the scout meant to say sub 25. But year 2 shot 35.5% on about 3.5 attempts.
So jump 10%.
Like, do you buy that? Do you not buy that? You know, that's kind of the question.
Sorry, what was the difference in the attempts from year 1 to 2?
1.3 to 3.7.
Oh, so over
he
doubled
basically
it.
went from 1 to 4 almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
This
Right.
one feels a little more thundery to me. The playmaking upside, the transition.
That's what I was thinking. The transition,
Great vision.
defensive upside is promising.
Yeah, the vision, the upside,
I definitely like
defensive
this
upside.
this prospect more.
Finishes around the rim. Thunder could use that
The
sometimes.
slender build is kind of fits the Thunder mold. They like
This-
skinny
yeah,
boys,
Yeah,
This feels like we're talking about Thunder players right now.
kind of. I think I might know who this one is. I'm not going to say it. But
Don't.
I have.
That's the one caveat. Please do not say
Yep.
it.
I'm struggling with this one.
Are you ready to move on to guard 3?
Si, senor.
Yes.
Let's do it. Guard number 3, also standard height for NBA guard.
So none of these guys have positional size.
Correct.
Okay.
Think about the average NBA guard. These guys are that size.
Like
This guy,
toughness,
though,
yeah,
has a strong build, similar to guard 1. Played on a top school in a Power 5 and made all freshmen. So this guy was not all conference like the last 2 guys, but he was all freshman. Elite high school recruit and also still a teenager. All right. Strengths, weaknesses. He is a one and done player that found ways to contribute on an underperforming team relative
Got
to
that, Jacob?
expectations. One and done. That means
Got
he's a
it.
freshman.
Why am I catching so many strays just for asking? Jeez.
Well, you opened up the first question of the segment was, anyways, one of the best 2-way talents in this class. He's an elite point of attack defender, averaged 3.7 steals per 100 possessions. He hasn't yet shown the ability to be an elite scorer, but is a really good connector. As a freshman, 7.9 assists per 100. He shot nearly 35% from deep this season overall, but in his last 10 games, 5 of 32, which is 15.6% from deep. The scout for this guy said, I'm not sure he has the superstar upside some of the other guards in this class might have, but the floor seems extremely high on both ends. Thoughts, questions? Let's do it.
I do feel like I know who this one is.
I do too. This is the first one. I figured
Like I said, some are hard to mask.
Yeah.
out.
This one, the term connector jumped out at me on this
Yeah.
one.
I like
Yep.
that.
Connector,
Elite point of attack
two-way.
defender.
Yep. 2-way. The found
Also-
ways to contribute, I think, is
On an
important as well.
underperforming team. I also
Mhm.
thought about the underperforming team part. Yep, I like that one too, Justin. And then
Definitely.
also
feels
how he
like a
trailed off
guy.
at the end of the season made me kind
Definitely
of
feels like a
well-
guy. OKC.
Yeah.
OKC would totally be interested in this guy. But
I feel the
like,
same, Kamiar.
At what point
fit well too.
do you
I think he's
pay?
mocked to
like-
OKC in some mocks.
It's hard to think about these guys, especially like in the future, knowing who you already have on the roster and with pick consolidation in mind as well.
Finding ways to contribute is important on a team that
Yeah.
has a good amount of contributors.
Very true.
Nice. All right, let's go to the
Good
last
here.
one.
Okay. Guard number 4 and the last option here, and then you guys will choose your favorite of the 4 and we'll move on.
Then move on. Cool.
This guy has elite positional size for a guard and fits the modern NBA's kind of jumbo mold. So this is the one guard in the group that's got a lot more size. Also a strong build. He played on a top school in a Power 5, and he made all conference and rookie of the year in his conference. Okay. So he's a rookie, or I said rookie of the year, freshman of the year. Whoever put these together doesn't know what they're talking about. Big high school recruit. He wasn't like a top 10 kind of guy, but he was a big recruit coming in. A bit older. He'll be 20 right around draft night. So he'll be basically 20 entering his rookie year in the NBA. Strengths and weaknesses. He grades highly in both pick and roll and isolation situations. So he's got the jumbo size, and he's good at the things you kind of got to be good at in the NBA to be a guard. He played a massive role on a team that had one of the best players in the country alongside him. He was super productive, averaged 24, 7, and 7 roughly per 100 possessions. Super streaky as a free throw shooter throughout the season and a 3-point shooter throughout the season. He would go on stretches where like he was shooting 40% from deep for a long time, but then other times it was like, whoa, can this guy shoot it all? So super streaky as a shooter. Okay. From the floor overall, only shot 42% despite being a highly productive player. So high volume, still figuring out the efficiency. But he was super effective in the mid range and has a really smooth stroke. So if you just like watch the guy play, if you catch the right game, this guy looks like he's a bucket, right? But there's other games where, maybe he's 3 of 14 from the floor. The highs are high. Had 2 30-point games this year and 2 games with 8 or more assists as a freshman on one of the best teams in the country. Highs are high, lows are lows. The scout quote for guard number 4 said, while there's concerns with consistency and efficiency, he's got the build of a modern jumbo guard that continues to thrive in today's NBA. Could we look back and wonder how he didn't go higher?
Okay, I have a question on this one.
Hit me.
Is there an injury history?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay.
Did
This one's
he
hard.
did he play primarily? You mentioned grades highly in pick and roll and isolations. Is that mainly what he does offensively? Is he not really an off-ball type of guy?
He is absolutely a combo guard. He can be a lead guy when he needs to, and he was a lot as a freshman, but he has the mold and the ability to be an off-ball guy too.
Okay.
This one's tough.
And given his positional size, like there's a world where similar to what Oklahoma City does, like he could play in a 3-guard lineup and kind of shift up to a wing.
Okay, so we got to pick one of these 4 guards.
Yeah. Which one are you guys picking?
I
With
think
the roster in mind.
I think if we like start by eliminating ones that don't fit, I think number 1 is off the table pretty
Agreed.
quickly.
That's the first one I'd eliminate.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you as you eliminate. So you're eliminating guard 1.
Everyone in agreement?
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Guard 1 was Keontae George.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
2, 3, and 4 were interesting. I like 4's positional size.
Yep,
That's
too.
a big key for me.
I think guard 4 might have the highest upside as well of the 3.
Yeah, maybe has the lowest floor as well.
Yeah.
True.
Guard
More
4
of a
feels
swing.
like a huge swing to me.
Yep.
Which one was the guy that was really good at defense? Was that guard 3?
There's
Guard
3.
Okay, and then do you mind going back to guard 2 real quick?
Yeah. And keep in mind, like, this doesn't have to be like pick 12. Like you guys could think about like, we're going to move back for this guy or whatever. So don't feel like if it's a
Okay.
reach or whatever. This is guard 2.
Guard 2 is really good in transition.
The
2
2
years in college.
is throwing me off. Actually,
Terrible 3-point shooting.
What's messing me up with this, especially because I'm going between guards 2 and 3, I think like everybody else is, and looking at guard 3 and saying, yeah, he was terrible at shooting year 1, and then he bumped up to basically just 35% year 2.
Right.
I mean, that's not uncommon for college players to get a lot better. I think Buddy Hield shot 20% his freshman year and left his senior year shooting like 40-something%, obviously. But what I think is interesting specifically about the 3rd guard is that, like you guys mentioned, the dude averaged like 8 assists and affects the game in several other ways other than just like scoring.
Yeah.
And That's what people keep on saying about other players on this team.
The connector.
And that's something that I don't necessarily think Lou Dort does. Of course, this wouldn't be his replacement. Maybe, who knows? If he's not already playing. But that's one thing. Like, Lou does get his tunnel vision and doesn't really have high assist numbers. You know what you're getting from him, whereas this guy would contribute in several ways: assists, steals, etc.
So I completely agree. For this one, I feel like guard 2 is we've seen growth, and he's elite in transition. Kind of fits Thunder. Guard 3 was super productive, had a lot of stats.
Connector.
Plays great on. No, sorry. Guard 4 was one that had a lot of stats. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Guard 3 was the connector defender. Almost feels like glue guy. I feel like 3 has the biggest ceiling, 2 shown the growth over time, and 3 is the connector piece. So what are you guys feeling?
I'm leaning 3.
I was gonna say I think I'm leaning 3 as well with the Thunder in mind.
I say 3 just because of what the Thunder would do, most likely. I mean, they don't seem like they do like their late bloomers, as if you will. I mean, that's what J-Dub was a late bloomer in guard 2. But I could also realistically see them going for a guy that has more of a higher floor, maybe not necessarily the higher ceiling, and going for more rotational pieces instead of guys that are being superstar potential. You already have J-Dub, Chet, Shea on the team. How many other guys are you really trying to draft that you're kind of hitting for the fences? Of course, that's the case every year, but what kind of guys are you trying to draft? I think connector / defensive player is what Presti would go after.
I like it. We'll take 3.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you 3 is, obviously, but I'll tell you who the others were.
Okay.
Guard 2 is Kobe Buffkin.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Anyone know who guard 4 is?
Nope.
Jalen Hood Shafino.
Okay, I thought you were gonna throw Huchpino in here.
I think he's super underrated, which is why I
So
threw him
3,
in.
I'm pretty sure I know who this is.
I'm pretty sure I know who 3 is as well. We won't say anything.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I know who 3 is. So we've got our guard.
Buffkin's interesting.
If you're listening, just Google it. If you're listening, just Google a quote and you'll be able to find who it is.
No,
that's GPT it.
That's one of the points of the exercise too, is like there's probably guys that you guys are like quote unquote out on, but whenever you're blind resume testing, like maybe you're like, maybe Jalen Shafino's a guy that I would consider, you know.
True.
Anyways,
It's
we'll move on.
It's like if I was grading a kid's paper who I hate. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you a biased grader?
I grade every paper fairly. It's a joke to anybody listening.
We cover the names up.
Yeah,
That's correct. That's correct.
All right.
That's awesome.
Wing number 1. This wing is kind of a jumbo wing. He's got, like, honestly, power forward size. Okay. Great positional size for a wing. He's not thin, but I also wouldn't call him like a strong build. Just kind of like your average build. Played for a school in the Power 5, made the all-conference team. Big high school recruit, and will turn 20 before his rookie season. All right. Strengths and weaknesses. Highly translatable three-point shot. Can shoot it from deep, both in rhythm and on the move. He took over 200 triples as a freshman. Had 7 games this season with 4 more made threes. Shot 55% at the rim last season. He's underrated as a self-creator, though he still has work to do if he wants to become more of sort of an on-ball piece at the next level, especially in pick and roll. He was like 0.8 points per possession in those type of situations. And he also has work to do as a defender. Like, there's no question he has the size and length to defend multiple positions at the next level. But in this lone college season, like, he wasn't a fantastic defender. He wasn't a bad defender, but he wasn't a guy that you'd look at and say, like, this guy's a great defender. The scout, when asked about Wing 1, said, tall shooters are always needed in the NBA. Wing 1 does have the upside to be much more than a role player, but at minimum, he should be a valuable floor spacer.
I mean, Danilo Gallinari is a valuable floor spacer, but he's also a traffic cone on defense.
This guy's not a traffic cone on defense. He's just not an elite defender.
He's just
he's what do you call those bigger things? They're not traffic cones, but they're big and wide.
The
They're
barrels.
the barrel.
a mobile traffic cone.
He's a traffic barrel.
It's a traffic cone with a RC car underneath it.
So this guy can shoot it, and has a little bit of size. That's basically what I'm taking from this.
I'd say he has good size for a wing. Not just
What's his assist numbers?
Let's see here. This player, a freshman in his lone college season, 2 assists a game.
2?
Okay.
That's a wing.
Mainly an off-ball guy.
And is not 20 yet. Okay, that's throwing me off a little bit too.
Well, you shouldn't be looking at that to try to figure out who he is, Taylor.
How many rebounds
Just
a
look at my
game?
big board.
How many rebounds a game?
He averaged 2.8 rebounds a game.
Ugh, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm
So
already
2.8
out.
rebounds.
I'm already
Kamiar's
out.
wings
Big
have to
size.
rebound.
All right. I think we're good for wing number 2 unless anyone else has questions.
All right, wing number 2 on the way. All right, so this guy, wing number 2, has grown of late and is now the size of an elite wing. He is a very athletic build. He played against pros last season and thrived. He's been a big international prospect for years and just recently turned 19. Okay. He can play several positions and has a +4 wingspan to go along with the good wing height. He's an elite defender, and he also on the offensive end notched a 5-game stretch with 20 or more points late in the season, so got better as the year went on. He didn't shoot the 3-ball well last season, but I got that going late as well, so like an improved 3-point shooter. His offensive game holistically, though, needs quite a bit of polish. But even outside of scoring, he's the kind of guy that impacts the game in many other ways. When asked about wing 2, our scout said, "We've had our eyes on this guy for a while now, but his versatility really popped at the Nike Hoop Summit back in 2022. He's proven he can play against professionals dating back to 2021.
My Presty senses are tingling.
Yeah, I was about to say this gets the Prestige stamp of approval. It feels like. I mean,
Agreed.
young. He just grew.
Foreign.
He's still growing. He's foreign. He's he's playing other
+4
teams.
wingspan.
Yep,
Mhm.
that sounds
Still
like a
young,
young guy to
just-
me.
Just turned 19.
I don't know if you guys said young,
Yeah.
just turned 19.
Presty loves a young foreigner. Young
Yeah.
foreigner.
No, my
with
first
long
question
arms.
was, this is really random. Trying to read Nick's slideshow here. Are the words polish and Polish spelled the same way, just with a capital letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I was reading it and I said offensive game
what do
with
you-
the
hey,
Polish.
How do you think you spell it?
Well, I figured it was the same way. I read it and I said, why does his offensive game need a pole? Why does he need a Polish
Jacob,
guy?
maybe he's Polish. Maybe I'm giving you a hint.
Just needs a.
He's not.
Maybe it's
he's not
both.
Polish.
Maybe he just needs a sausage.
Maybe it's the Da Vinci Code in his PowerPoint. You'll never know until the end.
All right, so wing 2 is the young foreign kid who grew a lot.
I like it.
Wing 1 is the shooter.
Yep. Wing 3. This guy is more of a standard wing size. Like you wouldn't look at him and say that's a jumbo wing.
We
but he
talking
is very
drums or
strong.
flats.
Jeez. He is a strong build. He played on a top school in a Power 5, an elite high school recruit, and he is 18 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
Taylor loves
Taylor's
the
already
young
wow.
girls.
I haven't even gotten to his stats
Amazing.
or his strengths and weaknesses, and Taylor's already ready to draft him because he's 18. This guy was somewhat limited. Like if you dig into this guy's stats, like he doesn't have a lot of stats to go off of. Very small sample size. But on 98 3-point attempts, he converted on 43% of those. He started in less than 10 games last season. Again, samples very limited. But as a self-creator, which was about 45 pick and roll possessions and 5 ISO possessions, he shot 47% on those, so translatable skill at the next level. He graded as one of the best spot-up shooters among freshmen in the country last season. He was overshadowed by some other really big prospects, and he couldn't stay consistent or get in a groove because of injuries. Scout had to say, he's one of the more unknown prospects in this class for several reasons, and it feels like a risky but high upside prospect. I don't think we've seen him scratch the surface of what he can do.
What?
I want to go back to wing 2 real quick because Big Mike and Z said we're talking about polishing a Polish sausage.
Okay, jeez. Reminds me of Beer Fest. Anyways, is there a reason why did the person in front of him at his school get hurt, and that's why he started those games, or what? Is there news on that, or did he just earn his way into the lineup?
Without giving it away, how do I frame this? He is a starting caliber player, but played on a really good school and didn't get enough playing time to really ever get in a groove and like become a consistent starter.
Okay.
So his team was good.
Like
it was like a winning culture. It wasn't like some.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes. He is in a system that you would trust him coming out of.
Gotcha. Huh. This one's a little tough.
Like maybe one of the best in the country in terms of like college systems.
It reminds me a bit.
Was it an injury why he didn't start so much?
He did have injury issues last season.
Okay.
That's what's my hang up right now, because Presti definitely usually doesn't go after injury prone guys. I mean,
I wouldn't call him injury prone. Like the injuries haven't been like he hadn't been an injured guy his entire career. Like it's
like different things.
Yeah. It was like a 1 year thing.
Free throw percentage, if you don't mind.
Yes. It's like, well, if he was injured, but he shoots good free throws. He was 80% from the free throw line.
Reminds me a bit of like Shea at Kentucky.
Oh,
yeah.
Where good talent, but just lots of other good talent around.
So this guy gives me, I'm going blank for the Atlanta Hawks rookie this year.
AJ Griffin.
AJ Griffin. Thank you.
So both you, Justin, and Taylor, your guys' commentary there, I would very much agree with. Like those are very good kind of comps of like their college career and the systems they were in, and like the upside they have that may have not been seen yet.
Gotcha.
Sorry, just a clarification question. We're on wings. So when you say standard wing size, are you differentiating like ball handler, wing, and then like quote unquote big?
I consider that's a good clarifying point. I consider a wing a guy that can handle the ball, but he's not like a power. He's not a front court player, like a power forward center. He's a wing to me is like his natural position is like a traditional 3, but he can slide up to a 4 in certain situations and play off ball guard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready for wing 4.
Wing 4. This guy's also standard wing size. He's a bit more slender. He played for a very well-known international team last season. Elite high school recruit. I don't know if I'd consider it elite. That may have been an oversight by me. He's a known player. Like he's been known for a while now. He's still 18 years old as well. Okay. He's very raw and could definitely take time to develop and would probably be a project pick. He's known for being a defender, but the offensive tools are like no one would ever question this guy's offensive upside. He just hasn't really had the chance to showcase it quite yet, but the tools are there. Good athlete, really solid around the rim offensively, like scores very well at the rim, and has also shown shooting touch on the perimeter. Last season, on this very well-known international team, he spent the majority of the season on like the junior, like I don't know if it was U18 or U19 team. Didn't play with the senior team, but got called up kind of the 2/3 away point in the season and showed some things early. And as the season went on, like continued to be really, really solid. So he's got reps now at the junior level at this club and also the senior level at this club. Is a quick riser, but there's still limited tape on the guy. Like if you go out there and you try to find stats or tape, like there's not a ton. He's played like international competition for his home country. He's played a little bit on the senior team, but there's not a lot out there. So he's a bit unknown. And again, final bullet point here, hasn't played all that many minutes at an elite level of competition. The scout said, the measurables and upside for Wing 4 are incredible, but it's unclear just how quickly he'll be able to make an impact at the NBA level.
Okay.
I like the idea of this player a lot.
Young,
but definitely raw.
Foreign. He has
This
that going
this
for
player
it.
feels like
It's like a Cuban model.
the less of player 2. This feels like player 2, like wing 2, but the maybe not as good version.
Yeah.
The great value version.
Less polished.
Yes.
Jeez, guys. Jeez.
So
You
one
guys,
was
you guys going to cut this list down.
1 was our shooter.
Yep.
2 is our high upside, grew a lot foreign kid who's really young.
Big
Yep.
wingspan.
3 is our small sample size, but played really well in college, still 18, so he's a child.
Yep.
And then 4 is our other international kid who's got good measurables, but there's a lot of questions.
Yep.
I'm between 2 and 3.
Me as well. I'm leaning towards 2.
So you guys is everyone
like
agreeing
their
on
3.
cutting 1 and 4?
Yeah, I
think
would
so.
go. I would go 3 too. So
Okay. Wing 1, who in the
Is it
chat,
Jet?
people are saying Grady Dick. It was Jet Howard.
I thought it was Jet.
Wing 4, Koulibaly.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
Okay.
Played
yeah, we
for
were-
Mets 92 junior and got called up to play with Wemby and has had a ton of exposure because of it.
Yep.
So we're down to 2 and 3.
3, I'm positive I know who that is. What
I
do you
think I
guys
want to go
think?
2.
That's
I'm
where I
laying
lean
2.
also.
Okay.
I like it.
Anyone know who 3
Okay.
is? Taylor, go ahead.
It's Whitehead.
Yep, Derek Whitehead.
That's what I thought as well.
I
Okay.
prefer Whitehead.
All right, ready for
I
the
like
forwards.
Nick, you're keeping track of which ones we picked on each one, right?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
For the forwards, which again, positionally, I consider forwards guys that they're like none of these guys are like centers. Some of them can maybe slide up and play some center. Some of them could slide down and play more of like a perimeter player. But your stereotypical 4 that could shift around a bit. Okay.
Okay.
So forward number 1, your standard NBA forward size. Although he's a slender build, he played in a top school in a Power 5, all freshman honors. He was a top 100 high school recruit, so not an elite recruit, but he was not like a nobody coming into college. And he turns 19 right after the draft, so he's still pretty young. This guy is known for being more of a defensive-minded forward, but could be much more if he improves his three-point shot. He was sub 30% in college. He was also not a great three-point shooter in high school, but the stroke looks good. Looked kind of lost early in his freshman season. Like if you watch his first 5 games, you're like, this guy needs a lot of time. You watch towards the end of the season, you're like, this guy's very draftable. A smart off-ball mover and a really good cutter. In cutting situations, he averaged almost a 1.5 per possession. A very good rebounder, 12.5 per 40 minutes. Only shot 65% from the line. And like I said, has never been a good three-point shooter despite the solid mechanics. And he also needs to get a lot stronger. When asking the scout about this player, let me go back. He said he was overshadowed at the college level last season, but does a ton of things that NBA teams need at the forward position. Their perimeter shot is a major swing skill. Questions?
Top school in Power 5.
Meh.
I'm a little thrown off on this one.
It's kind of where I'm at, Justin.
Feels very meh.
standard size, doesn't have positional size, doesn't shoot well. Is a good rebounder. I mean, cutting is nice for this team.
That's a good guess, Kieran. I like that guess.
I
it feels like this is not a perfect comparison, but like we've got Kenny Hustle at home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like defensive minded.
This
Like,
guy is very different than Kenny Hustle, although
Okay.
it sounds very similar.
but like moves off the ball, like
Yeah.
doesn't really make a splash, but like, you know, he can do some things.
That's kind of the fun part about blind resumes too. Like when you read this, this could be Kenny Hustle.
Yeah.
But whenever you hear who it is, you're like, that is not Kenny Hustle.
Well, when I read this one, I think we have enough bigger guys who can defend and can't shoot on this team.
True.
Right. Correct. That's what I was getting at.
Let's move on.
Especially if he struggles a bit playmaking.
Yeah. Forward 2, another kind of standard NBA forward size guy. Strong build, power 5, all freshman, elite high school recruit, and 18 years old. Taylor's like, sign me up. This guy is an elite offensive talent and a fantastic self-creator. He has a 7-foot wingspan. He can play anywhere from 2 to 5 in certain situations, depending on who he's going up against. Like he's not going to play 5 against Embiid at the next level, but he, like Kenny Hustle, played 5. This guy could definitely play 5. Has facilitation upside, but needs to become a better decision maker and a more willing passer. I would say he's a guy that absolutely has the vision, but is still so young and so inexperienced at this level that it's been a work in progress. He shot 34% on catch and shoot triples last year. The jumper is pretty, but it didn't go in as often as we thought. Still optimistic about the shooting though. He only shot 38% from the floor last season, which is horrible. But if you go look at the tape, he was the best player on a bad team and was asked to be the offensive leader at 18 years old at the college level. Just tough. He has the size to be an incredible, versatile defender, but we wouldn't call him an elite defender today. Like he has the size, he has the tools, he's shown the flashes, but he's not consistently like this guy that you would say coming into the draft is like a solid defender. Scout said, I wouldn't be shocked to see forward 2 end up being one of the top 5 best players in this class. If he lands in the right spot and develops the right way, it could be scary.
Interesting.
The wingspan and the plays 2 to 5 are very intriguing. Trying to reconcile elite offensive talent with shot 38% from the floor is a little tough, even in spite of the context that you gave. It's hard. It's just a little hard to grasp.
Yeah. To me, it's a young guy, and if you squint right and you turn your head and the light shines on him just right, you can see MJ. But then you open your eyes and it's like me out on the pickup court.
Wow. Quite a comparison.
You ready to move to forward 3?
Ready.
Yeah, forward 2 doesn't. This one doesn't. The first 2 haven't excited me.
Okay. Forward 3 is a jumbo forward. He's got good size. He's also a strong player as well. So he's got the height and the strength. Played professionally last season. Was a big, not elite high school recruit. He was a guy that was very well known, but wasn't like a top 10 guy. And he'll be 20 as a freshman. He has the size to play anywhere from jumbo wing to small ball 5. Good defensive instincts. Wouldn't call him a good defender, but he's got the instincts to be such. Major producer last season and got better as the season went on. Elite rebounder. Historically, dating back to high school, has been a pretty bad 3-point shooter and doesn't have good mechanics. But he did knock down 30%. It's not great, but it's actually better than you'd expect given his mechanics. Doesn't have much of a post-up game. So we think about a small ball 5. He doesn't really have post moves, but he has the size to play small ball 5 and is known for taking bad shots, especially in high school. Got better last season, but still a guy that sometimes you scratch your head at the looks he takes. Scout says it's still unclear what position forward 3 will actually play most at the next level, which speaks to his versatility. With that in mind, that versatility could be limited if the jumper doesn't come around and it needs some major tweaks.
Big positional size, good rebounder, and can't shoot. Again,
Justin's
Presty doing
Presty
the Birdman rubs hands .gif.
Yeah. I feel pretty good about this one.
Okay.
This one's interesting. I like the size. I like the growth throughout the season.
Sounds like a lot of potential versatility.
Potential.
Yeah.
versatility,
The
yes.
scout quote's really interesting.
Yeah.
Unclear what position they'll play the most at an NBA level.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different ways you could take that.
Mhm.
But looking at the Thunder, like that feels like a piece that could fit alongside kind of how they're utilizing guys.
Very true.
All right, forward 4. Another standard NBA height with an athletic build. He played for a Power 5 school and earned all conference honors. Not a huge recruit, actually, and he'll be 23 as a rookie. So an older guy.
Yeah, I was
Out.
Got 2 kids and a mortgage.
He has
Tayler's
the build
literally like
of the
Leonardo
ideal
DiCaprio.
modern combo forward and does it on both ends. He averaged 20 and 8 last season and was one of the most improved players in the country. He thrives more off ball and is fantastic when there's good guard play. He takes good care of the ball. He shot 66% at the rim. His three-point shooting did fall off last season, although relative to the season before, it's easy to do so. But he still knocked down 41% of his unguarded catch and shoot looks from beyond the arc. So the three-point shot is absolutely real. He doesn't really have the ability to self-create and isn't really a good playmaker. He's definitely a guy that needs to be created for, and when he has good people creating for him, he thrives. The scout says, I have no question he'll make an impact at the NBA level. He's older and a late bloomer, but is the perfect 3-and-D type of player with the upside to become much more than that.
Interesting.
Did the slide just change?
I have a question.
Template?
There we go.
There it is.
Boom.
Template.
Template.
What's your question, Taylor?
Oh, go ahead.
Does he have a relative who
He
plays
does.
in the NBA?
Thanks for giving it away.
I'm just gonna
This one's interesting. He's he better have his damn master's degree if he's coming in at 23. I don't know. The 4 forwards, which ones do you guys like the most?
3 pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess.
We'll
I
go
think-
through who
Go
the
through
other
it one more
were.
time, just
In
real
my
fast. and
opinion,
look at
I
them.
think Nick downplayed number 3 on purpose.
Could have.
Um,
Forward 1.
Forward 1 was the defensive-minded cutter. I don't know. For me, it's between 1 and 3.
Bad shooter.
Yep.
2.
2.
Great
that's what
self-creator.
threw me off.
Not very
Yeah.
efficient.
Under efficient offensive talent.
3. Jumbo. 4. Old guy. Where are we going?
I think it's 3.
I think it's 3.
All right.
Yep, I'm good with that.
1.
Can I take guesses?
Yeah, what was number 1?
We go back to him real quick.
Yep.
I don't know if I know who number 1 is.
Noah Clowney.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So Kieran was right. Well done.
Yep.
It's
he
2
was.
Gigi,
Gigi Jackson.
and then 4 was
Nice.
Chris Murray.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you guys have
Nice.
3 guys to pick from here. You have guard 3, wing
Ooh.
2, forward 3. So let's go back to guard 3 to refresh your memory based on what you guys said. You like the connective pieces that he brings. You like the two-way talent with wing 2. You like the fact that he's got good positional size, he's athletic, defensive upside, improved 3-point shot, plus 4 wingspan, international. And with forward 3, jumbo size, can't shoot, but has the positional versatility. You have 30 seconds to discuss and make your
30
pick
seconds?
now.
Wow.
You should give us the 5-minute
You know,
NBA. We're on the
yeah.
clock.
You're burning time right now.
Do we need another guard on this team?
No.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm
That was the
definitely
only thing I
leaning
thought
more
about.
towards
Okay, so you're
size.
between wing and forward.
The guard is my favorite of the 3 prospects.
Agreed.
If we're just picking just
In a
because,
vacuum.
but I don't know if he fits with what the Thunder need.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Guard was
Case
you guys
Moss.
know?
Wait.
Yes.
Yeah, Kaysen.
Okay.
I like
Between the wing and the
He
forward,
so
go.
could fit on this team.
The forward, the shooting upside is interesting. Jumbo NBA forward side. Oh, sorry, I was thinking wing. The wing is like a normal sized wing.
Very raw offensively.
The wing is he's grown a lot of late. Now he's the size of a legit wing.
Yeah. He just turned 19. He could grow more.
Yeah.
So
He's
that's
a
an upside. The
interesting
3-point shots
prospect.
coming around.
Needs
Good
some Polish.
defender. Yeah, he's Polish.
You guys have 15 seconds.
The forward,
really
the forward
tiny,
is real
Gus.
big. Would add some size and some much needed
Heft.
yes, and rebounding.
Girth.
I don't know. Who do you guys
Girth.
want from these two?
I'm leaning forward. I like the positionless, the position versatility. I also think he provides a lot of upside compared to wing 2, who I think would be a solid defender coming into the league. I can do a little bit of playmaking, but is going to struggle from an offensive standpoint. So I'm leaning towards forward 3.
Jacob,
I think I lean towards the wing.
Jacob, you're the
Ooh.
swing vote.
Oh my goodness.
Make it fun.
We'll go the wing.
All right.
Hey.
Oh.
Forward
So
was
repair
Leonard Miller.
over
Leonard
Miller.
Miller.
And the wing is Ray and Repair.
It is not.
Ooh.
It is Leonard Miller's teammate, City Sissoko.
Sissoko.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. Fascinating. I thought it was Repair.
I did
It's
too.
not. It is not.
Interesting.
Tricky.
So
Huh.
I don't think the Thunder would draft him at 12, but it's food for thought as we think about trade back
Wh-
candidates. Based
Where
on
where is
blind
he kind of
resumes.
mocked? Is he mocked like in the 20s?
I've seen him anywhere from like 16 to 24. So definitely a
Interesting.
trade back guy. Although
Trade back or buy back in?
we've seen Presti draft guys at what would have been a trade back position. So
Mhm.
his board could have him at 8 for all we know.
Yep.
So, all right.
Interesting. That was
Fascinating.
a lot of fun. That was
Good
super
stuff.
That was fun.
Look at Nick doing all this prep work for the podcast. Thank
This
you, Nick.
guy.
Of course.
fun.
That's awesome.
Pretty PowerPoint and all.
Yeah. Interesting. The way you framed Kaysen, just confirms my. I think a lot of Thunder fans are really in on the Michigan guard,
Buffkin.
Buffkin.
Buffkin. Man, I don't know why people aren't talking more about Kaysen. I think he's really good. I think he's really good. I love the defense. I love the upside. He measured average at the draft for a wing or for
Yeah.
for a guard. But he's just tough nosed, gets after it. If you're trying to get someone that's got that dog, I think
Kaysen
Kaysen
has it.
fits that.
I liked
Yep.
how Nick put that too. And Justin, this is what stuck out to you first, I think, on that slide, in that he was able to perform and contribute to an underperforming team. That
Yep.
Kentucky team really relied on him to do a lot of different things. But at the same time, I also don't think he was truly able to kind of show what he's capable of on ball. So I think there's even more under the surface to Kaysen that really intrigues me.
And Nick's little presentation here mentioned that at the end of the season he shot really poorly.
Yep.
Wasn't at the end of the season he kind of was forced to play primary ball handler, primary facilitator.
That's a good point.
You're not going to ask him to do a whole lot of that in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City,
Right.
I
They
think
don't
the
need him
Thunder's dream is we don't have a primary facilitator because everybody chips in a little bit.
Yep.
I think he'd fit really well. I think he would get here and he'd be a guy that just fans fell in love with immediately. I really like him.
I agree.
I like Leonard Miller too. The 3-point shot is ugly. The way he
weird.
shoots it is ugly.
But he's a lefty. Lefty shooters are fun. Can you attest, Jacob?
Thank you. Lefty shooters are fun. Thunder have
you
a
have
history with
chip.
lefty shooters.
That's
Indeed.
true.
Are you a lefty, Jacob?
Yes. Did you not know this?
Yes.
I don't think I ever knew this.
Yeah, I'm a
Yes.
lefty.
There you go.
You'll find out whenever you come play pickup in your Pokemon outfit.
This is true.
Yes.
Nice. That was fun.
That was
a lot
fun.
of fun.
Nick.
Can't believe we drafted City Sissoko.
You thought it was repair the whole time.
I did.
And that's why we do it blind.
Yeah, that was good. That was
very.
a good old bait and switch. Yeah, I figured Leonard was that one. I still like him a lot. I think him like with Chet or him as like your bench big could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just if you have him out there, like he's not going to have any sort of gravity at all. So you have to have, I don't know if you can have him and Dort out at the same time.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So
But
it's interesting.
with him on the floor, you're going to really emphasize pushing the ball in transition.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're not running as many sets.
Yeah. Well,
as you
and I've
otherwise
mentioned
would.
this on the pod before as well, but if you draft Leonard Miller, you have Miller, Usman Jang, Pokashevsky, JRE, J Will. Like,
True.
does he just keep playing more G League ball just instead of with the Ignite, he's with the blue? Like, do some of those other guys just get
moved,
kicked to the end of the bench?
That's kind of what I
I have a weird. This is a hunch. This has nothing to do with anything on
Nick
earth
heard
other
in
than what's in the back of my
Chicago
head. I have a
sources.
I have a weird feeling. This is the draft to do it. Maybe too. OKC takes a center in round 2, like a real center, not a JRE or a J Will, like a real center.
I thought that last year. Aside from Chet, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Eric Lively's kind of fun to think about.
Well, he won't be in the
role that
second
he would play
round,
on this
but
team.
yes.
Oh, in the second,
Yes.
yeah. Gotcha. I like the and not just because he had a good combine.
Tristan.
Yeah. What's his? It's Vucevic, I think.
Yeah. If
No
Najee,
tweeted
no
this
relation,
second
no
round.
relation, right?
no, it's spelled
It's
differently
spelled-
too.
it's
It's
like
like
a- with a
VUK.
K.
Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I've been thinking about this recently. Like, Sam Presti talked in his exit interview about the Thunder unlocking something, playing small ball, putting J-Dub at the 4. But then J-Dub has also talked about like playing out of his position, which means he doesn't think he's a 4 and maybe he doesn't want to play the 4. And so like, will they draft like a traditional big, because Chet's not really quote unquote traditional. I think you mentioned it on the Leonard Miller blind portfolio there, Nick. Good post size, but doesn't have post moves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the Thunder give a shit about anybody having post moves.
Yeah,
true.
Like, at all.
Right. Yep.
I think it's like with Chet not being a traditional center, he like you can still play most of your minutes small ball, kind of unorthodox, but it would be nice, depending on who you're playing and for small stretches, to like have a bruising traditional center in there for a bit.
Yeah.
You also
Just like
can get
kind of
those
like
from G.
a mix up. Yeah. I think that's the kind of guy you can get for pretty cheap on the market, on the marketplace. You don't have to like
You can even
expend
bring-
a draft asset.
like free agency. And again, where this gets really tricky is because of, like you guys have mentioned, the lack of roster spots and trying to develop all these young guys still, but like taking a gamble on like a Nerlens Noel this offseason just to see what that would even look like. Kind of use it as a bit of a test, kind of like Muscala was at times over the past season and a half for what Chet would look like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Al Horford, bring him back after his championship run.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I was high on bringing another Boston Celtic in, free
Grant
agency.
Williams would be a ton
But
of fun.
I don't know. Notorious bear poker, Grant Williams. So interesting stuff. I have a lot more draft thoughts as far as like trade up candidates. I like how you didn't choose like any of the like top 10 guys.
Obvious.
I have some thoughts on like some of those top 10 guys and trade up candidates on who the Thunder could target and what a trade up looks like. I think at some point we should really talk about the value of those Thunder future picks.
Yep.
Especially with the new CBA coming into effect. I think that kind of changes what is valuable, how valuable things are. A lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, it feels like the draft is a long ways away, but it'll
A month.
We're gonna have
That's crazy.
4 more Sunday shows,
Yeah.
Right?
and then it's
Be
draft
here
time.
before you know it.
Yeah.
They won't be in Vegas.
Kind of like it
Watch 'em
feels like
play.
the top 3 is like this. We know who's going to go there, and then it's like a whole new tier. Kind of feels the same way after 10 or 11, which is kind of a weird place for the Thunder to be. Like there's probably 12 names, 14 names that Oklahoma City could take at 12, and I'd be like, that's about his range. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
It's
crazy how deep that middle of
and at that point, it's almost like trading back is more valuable because if they're
You can
all in
still
that
get a
same
guy.
tier,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of talk on 3 with Portland and 4 with Houston, especially with the belief that James Harden's returning to Houston,
Yep.
and then 5 with Detroit. Like, there's no way all 3 of those picks get moved. That would be
Yeah.
completely unheard of. But one of them moving wouldn't be a surprise. I don't want to like blow it for like a future podcast. There's no way OKC's getting 3, 4, or 5. Like the things that those teams would want in a trade, OKC just doesn't.
Would be
have.
ridiculous. I agree.
No, they have. They just don't want to part ways with.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could do Dub for 5, but you're not,
Right.
No.
right?
No.
The thing that the Thunder have to trade is future assets, future draft picks. Portland doesn't want future picks.
Yep.
Houston doesn't want future picks. Now trading up to like, where's Washington? Like 8, and then
7, 8, yeah.
who's 9?
Oh gosh.
Utah's 9, and then Dallas is 10. Like 8, 9 seems like a spot you could get to.
But all it takes is like a Nick Smith or a Keontae George going
Dropping.
8 or 9. No, going like moving up.
Oh,
to push
gotcha.
other guys down.
Push other guys
Yeah.
down. Like all it like this like 10, 11 consensus kind of range that people are talking about. All it takes is one guy outside of that jumping up, and one of those guys is sitting in Oklahoma City's lap. Whether Presti likes that guy or not, who
Right.
knows?
Yep.
That's what I was going to say is you have that list of guys and you know Presti will take absolutely none of
Oh,
them.
I can just see it now. There's a guy that was mocked at 9 and he falls, not taken at 10, not taken at 11, and everyone OKC's like, he fell to OKC, and then he takes City Sissoko.
RJ Hampton,
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
OG and Anobi. That's the one I'll never,
Yes.
Oh,
ever
stop it.
truly get over.
Stop it.
Yes.
Awesome. Any other thoughts, guys, before we hop out of here for the evening?
Gonna be here before you know it.
Yep. Shout out to Nick
Wait.
running the show tonight. Was a great
Multimedia
great-
presentation.
yeah. Nick deserves a raise.
Oh,
$0 to $0.
I'll send you a couple of bucks, Nick.
Thank you.
Awesome. We will be back with you guys on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Possibility of us having a special draft guest Wednesday night. Who knows a hell of a lot more about the draft than I do. So tune in. Let's know. We'll pick their brain. You'll want to jump into the YouTube stream that night. So make sure you follow us on YouTube, subscribe, click the little bell so you can see when we go live. That way you can get your questions in the chat for our guest. That'd be really awesome. I don't want to announce the guest because I want to like confirm that they're going to be on the show. But once I get like the double checked confirmed, we will tweet it out. So make sure you follow us on all social media channels. See who our guest is this Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. We didn't get to round the association, but we're going to have either A, history made, or B, Denver Miami finals. So go Denver.
there's a long time between Game 4 and Game 1 of the NBA Finals if both of
Really?
these end in sweeps. Do you
That's
know when
crazy.
finals start? June 1st.
June 1st.
Oh wow, that's a long.
Get like a week off.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Awesome. Well, you guys enjoy the beginning of your week. We'll be back Wednesday night, 9 p.m. So make plans to join us then. And until then, as always, thunder up.